Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to UKSM Live from Insomnia64 in Birmingham. It's great. We're about to start our next run of the day. We're a little bit behind schedule, but that's fine. That's what happens here at UKSM. It's our brand. Operation Video Game. Codename Kids Next Door. We're ready to go whenever the runner is, but before that, special effect. Please donate. They make the lives of disabled children better through peripherals that are custom built. It's fantastic. Please donate with !donate in the chat. Can Steb, can you give me a countdown?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Right as rain, doing lovely? Right. This is Codename Kids Next Door Operation Video Game. A game based off a cartoon that I thought was quite good. Hopefully you did as well. If you're not familiar with it, go watch it. It's a good show. We're playing the video game based on it. And there's gonna be a loading screen first, but I'll let you know when the time's gonna start, when we are gonna jump into the tutorial level. Oh, skip the cutscene, of course. Skip the other cutscene. And once we get past this loading screen, we're going to be getting into the game proper, and I'll let you know when to start the time. Loading screens are a bit long in the PS2 version, but that's the only version that I physically own. Guys, we ready to start the timer? In a sec. 3, 2, go. And we're starting the game! Woo! So this is just your basic tutorial level, where pretty much we're facing off against the Toilet Nader, who is basically just the joke villain. He's a toilet-themed supervillain. Is he really going to do anything harmful? Not really. So we're just going through the motions here, being taught about the movements of the game and such. We've learned how to attack, how to lock on. Now we're just doing dodge attacks, and now we're looking at super attacks. Super attacks are important because they slow down the game, and 2, you get iframes during them. Now here we've got some RNG coming up. We did not get the good RNG, so we're going to go to the boss instead of having him go to us. Oh, okay, alright, no problem. And we're going to abuse our iframes so the boss can't damage us, because if the boss damages us, we get a little extra tutorial about health, and that wastes a few seconds. And now that the boss is beaten, we beat the Toilinator, so now we collect all the rainbow monkeys, which are basically like this game's equivalent of coins in Mario. They're like teddy bears. And that's the first level done. And in-game time is a 56, which is very, very good. And I'm going to plug that into my time calculator app on my phone, because we time this game using in-game time, because it cuts out all the loading screens and the cutscenes and such. So that was Operation Tutorial, and now we're on to Operation Donutty, which is basically... Well, for some context, if you don't know what the plot is, the basic setup of Kids Next Door, basically, there's a group of 10-year-olds who have like a secret underground fighting resistance thing, who fight back on the behalf of kids against adult tyranny. And now, what we're doing is we're investigating the local donut shop, where a villain named Grandma Stuff'em has taken over and is attempting to force gross, healthy food on all the kids. So we've got to investigate things, as number 1 over here, Nigel Uno, the little bald kid. We're going to be playing as all 5 members of Sector V in this run, but number 1's levels are sort of the main ones, I guess you could put it that way. So anyway, here we are in the level, and here's where we're first going to see the movement, is we're going to lock on to nothing and then do these sort of side flips through the level. It's sort of the same principle as in like Ocarina of Time or something. And now here we're going to get like a combat tutorial, but we're not going to do the combat tutorial because of Kids Next Door Operation Wall. Wonky alignment lowers length. This game's all about the acronyms. What we're going to do is we're going to lock onto that guy to get the angle, and then we're going to try and get through the wall here. There's a bit of a seam, and I'm not getting it. Oh god, he won't stop attacking. The camera is not cooperating, but yeah, we can just go through the wall like that, and that skips a whole long tutorial. And now we are using these grappling hooks over here to jump through the giant oven. I know this game seems a mile a minute, nothing's very coherent, but the game slows down and you can get your bearings a lot as it goes on. So we're just going to jump through here, and now we're going to jump on some donuts. There is a fast strat to this where you can just sort of run forward onto the donuts, but it's pretty dangerous because if the next donut up is on a higher elevation than you are, then just running onto it will cause you to just fall through. So we're going to take a safe route here, marathon safety, and we're just going to just jump onto them, take a little bit of extra time to get our bearings, and we've got to take these platforms to get out of the oven, and oh, I almost went off there. And we're out of the oven, okay. So now we're going to come up into this fan section, do a few more side flips. Not the best angle we could have taken. Sometimes the angles in this game are a little bit finicky. And we've got to get to the top here by doing some, like... It's a jumping puzzle, basically. Landing on top of moving platforms. And here we go. Now, if we're lucky, this won't take that many attempts. See, that was a very good placement on that platform. And we basically want to see that the whole time. We didn't get it that time. That platform was not in a position to be immediately jumped to. And we're going to make that. That was a little bit tight, but we made that. We made this one too. And we missed the tutorial there. That's good. If you pick up one of those are called spare parts. And if you collect all of them in a stage, you get an upgraded weapon. The weapon upgrade is not that important in this stage, but in most stages, we want to be going for those upgrades because they're very important. That platform was not cooperating, but we still managed to get it on the second jump, and we're not quite going to get that on the first jump either, but it's all right. This has overall been a decently good fan segment. Oh, that was looking a little too hairy, but I think this is the last platform, which means that, yes. And now we're going to hit this switch to open a door back down at the bottom and go through into the next part of the level. If I'm not explaining this as best as I could, I haven't eaten breakfast today, and this is just kind of the usual. That's just an extension of the kind of manic energy I like to have sometimes. Number one is sort of explaining the level. We are on a river of pure donut batter. These donut batter men are going to try and impede us, but we're not going to let them have any of that now, are we? Didn't want to get the ledge grab there. Normally you can just make that jump, but you know how it is. Sometimes the game doesn't cooperate and you just have to deal with that. Couldn't get the side flips there either because we were locked onto the enemy. A major part of this game is learning the positioning and the angles you're able to take based on where the enemies are. Like here I'm doing back flips instead of side flips because we're not able to get the angle for a side flip because otherwise we're just going to be locked onto an enemy. And here we're going to do it again because the enemies are chasing us. They're tenacious little devils, these ones. Now we're going to hit this switch again to open the door. Make sure to pick up enough super energy.
Number one is back in business.
We picked up some health as well to offset the damage you took at the start of the level. Not going to go for any flips there because it'd be finicking around and managing to find the angle would just take a little bit too long in comparison to just going and doing the thing. Oh, I'm getting bad luck with these ledge grabs. Normally you can just make these jumps, but I guess I'm just jumping in the wrong place. That's the voice of Grandma Stuff'em there, whose boss fight we're about to go into. Those lunch ladies just kind of emerge from the walls, and we're going to ignore them. Ow, we did get hit. And now we're going on to the boss. Here's Grandma Stuff'em in the vehicle that the game dubs the Chunk Wagon. And we're going to immediately go over here because she will try to attack us through this receptacle thing and not be able to hit us, but also because we need to be near this switch for the next phase of the fight because we cannot actually hit Grandma Stuff'em. So once the donut jelly is ejected into here, we need to hit this switch to drop a donut as bait, then drop her into a hole, and then use the donut jelly to strip the shields off of the Chunk Wagon. I know it's very convoluted, but trust me, this kind of inane nonsense is in the spirit of the show. So we're going to lock onto the boss, do 9 jumps around her. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that should put us right by the switch. It didn't quite. Well, we got there in the end anyway. So now we dropped her into the hole. We lock onto this enemy and use him to do some backflips. We went in the hole. We don't want to go in the hole, but we hit the switch anyway. And now we're able to damage the boss. So we're going to lock onto the boss and do some charge attacks. Doing charge attacks actually isn't very much faster than doing regular attacks, but it's a lot safer. Unless these guys get in the way and eat your shot. Okay, one bullet got through, because basically the charge shot of this is a spread shot, which is why in the last fight against the Toilinator we were able to get point blank up against him. And we are already on far lower health than we'd like to be. This is a problem. I am going to take some extra time to go the other way around the boss and get the health, so that I don't end up dying, because a death on this boss sets you back so far. This boss takes a long amount of time. So instead of doing those side flips, I am gonna go up and over here, still get some side flips in, and pick up this health. And now we're gonna go around the boss, and I worry about the time, how much time we're gonna have left, because that boss is getting through the donut, but we hit the switch and it's all good. And now we do the backflips again, targeting this enemy. Strip the shields, and now we do the same thing as last time. Hope that none of the enemies like slide in front of us and manage to take some of the damage we'd be able to do otherwise. I'm going to take out some enemies in the little extra bit of time we have before the next donut spawns. And this should be the last cycle of the boss. I'm going to do basically the... Oh god, no, hit the button. Hit the button, number one. Come on, cooperate with me. I'm under enough stress as is. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Jiggle the camera about a bit so we know where the switch is. There we go. At least we end the fight on the cleanest segment so far. Oh, and we're in the hole again. Get out of the hole, number one. And now it's just going to be a matter of dealing the last bit of damage to the boss. Ow. For some reason, only now the boss becomes concerned with doing melee attacks. And there we go, that's the level taken care of. Most of the levels in this game are about that length. Let's see what the in-game time was. 8:30, that's actually really remarkably good. All things considered. I think my best time for that is an 8:32. And we're just gonna mash through here, skip some cutscenes. And now we're going on to the next level, Boogification, where basically, while that's been happening, another main villain, the Common Cold, has basically gotten into our secret treehouse base and covered everything in boogers and snot. Now, we play as number 5 in this level instead of number 1, who's a melee character. That's not really relevant for this level, but it'll be relevant later on when we play as her again. Now, this level, in contrast to the last level, is the fastest level in the game. And we're going to see it's probably its biggest skip immediately on starting the level. I really hope I get this. I'm going to lock on, strafe to the right, double jump, jump attack forward, and there we go. We just skipped the first half of the level. Thank you, thank you. I don't have an acronym for that skip yet because it's relatively recently discovered. But basically, if you don't do that skip, you have to do like a whole maze section with turrets and oh god. Didn't want to take damage there, so we're going to have to do 2 damage boosts through there instead of 1, which puts our health a little bit lower than I'd like it to be, but I can still manage it. Normally we can make a jump through into a little alcove there and not have to take that first bit of... And we died anyway. Oh well, that doesn't set us back too far because we just hit a checkpoint. And also it refills our health, which is very nice, and lets us take more damage boosts later on. But yeah, that's still a pretty silly time loss, all things considered. ignore that tutorial there. It's relevant to an item that we don't pick up in this run. And there we go. And now this is where the other big skip happens, which is, if I can pull up my notes again, which is Kids Next Door Operation Disco. Door impeccably sidelined, causing omittance. All the Kids Next Door like technology and things have an acronym to them, just like a silly over-the-top acronym like that. So basically for every skip in this game, I make up my own acronym because, well, it's in the spirit of things. When you're running obscure games like this, you got to make your own fun. So we're going to go up here, get our angle just right, and this is the right angle, just a little bit more to the left, little bit more to the left, and there we go. Find the right angle of movement, and there we go. Skip through the wall. So that skips a whole like movement puzzle of thank you. So doing that skips a really long movement puzzle of having to weave in and out of those like disco ball lights. And if you fail it, then you have to fight a whole bunch of enemies and the whole puzzle resets. So basically it takes a long time, and if you miss it, then if you mess it up, then the run is dead. That was like the first skip that I found in this game. And now we've got to fight some of these enemies at the end. Normally they take 6 melee hits to kill, but for some reason they die in 1 hit to a jumping attack. No other enemy in the game has that property, but I'm glad these enemies do, because it makes my life a lot easier. This guy's dead. Aggro this guy. I missed, but he's dead. And basically we just go near them, they're crawling over the wall like goddamn weevils. Can we get the double kill? No, we can't, sadly. And now we get this guy. Oh, and I got caught in the stank. If you get hit by any of those like dripping boogers off the ceiling, then you have to like, you get stuck in like a special animation for a while. And that was a 309, which isn't very good. That'll mostly be because of the death. But I'll take it. Oh, I'm being told. Okay. I'm being told we have 2 donations. Don't know if we have time to read them. Well, I mean, we do because it's a loading screen.
Hey, yeah. We have 2 new donations in very quick succession. One from Xander479, who donated an amount that my program isn't telling me, bringing the total up to 69.69. And his comment was, nice. And unfortunately it was ruined fairly shortly after from Nost, who donated an amount that my program also isn't telling me, but the comment is, massive shout out to UKSM this weekend. Awesome marathon for a great cause. Best of luck to all the comments. I'm refreshing now. I want to read out the amounts. Nope, I guess the program's just broken. Oh well. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the run.
Kids Next Door up.
And we're good. Okay, thank you very much. So anyway, this is Operation Snot Bomber, where now we take the fight directly to the Common Cold. And if you couldn't tell already, this is a shmup level. So yeah, basically, after a really fast level like that, we get a 10-minute auto-scroller. There are multiple of these in the run. My life is suffering. So yeah, anyway, these are number 2's levels. There are 3 of these in the run. And basically we have to, pick up. We use our shield to absorb enemy projectiles for a charge shot, which is a familiar shmup mechanic if you've ever played something like V.I.D.E.O.G.A.M.E. But yeah, for the most part, we're just going to be shooting enemies. I'm used to playing on a monitor, so the CRT lines are kind of giving me a little bit of a headache, especially being this close, but onward and upward, suffering for your art and all. And I used that a little bit too early, so we're not going to be able to force the Common Cold to go away earlier, which normally would happen if we use the smart bomb there, but it doesn't quite matter. Like I said, this level's mostly an auto-scroller, and any of the time losses and time saves that can occur will be happening in the boss fight at the end. So for the time being, this is pretty much just the part where you chill out in a run, take stock of how your run's going, how your life is doing, how you're feeling that day. We're also making sure to pick up as many weapon upgrade pieces as possible. This is the first level where they're really essential. Because where in other levels they were pretty much just gimmicks that added to your weapon, in here they are direct DPS upgrades. We need to pick up these weapon upgrades. So yeah, the shmup levels are kind of easy because the enemies kind of just fly and spawn directly in front of your projectiles. And the common cold in the giant plane, the snow bomber, will occasionally just show up and launch some projectiles at us. If it sounds like I'm fishing for things to say, it's because I am. Because we're only about a quarter of the way through this level. And there's like 7 more minutes to go. So we're just making sure our health is topped up. Picking up the rainbow monkeys just for fun. There's no real reason to pick up the rainbow monkeys in this run. All you really do is unlock secrets, like bonus content for every 25, 50, 75, 100, and 125 rainbow monkeys that you collect in a level. You unlock a new piece of like concept art or whatever. So yeah. How's everybody doing at home? You all doing alright? Yeah. Woo! Oh, I wasn't looking at the game, I'm taking a bit of damage. A little bit of audience participation there. So yeah, basically, we just absorb the bullets that do find their way to us, kill the enemies, such and such. Listen to some more of number 2's amazing dialogue. The dialogue in this game is, or the voice acting in general is... Oh, actually, here's something to talk about. We have a new enemy. This enemy actually takes more than one hit to kill, so they can be a little annoying, but they're nothing to worry about, really. We have the DPS by now to take one of them out before the next one spawns, and they don't really bring anything new to the table, just more absorbent projectiles. But yeah, the voice acting in this game, I should go back onto that tangent, is really one of the main reasons to play the game. They managed to get back pretty much the entire, in fact, I think, yeah, the entire voice acting cast from the show. Even Mark Hamill, who plays a boss in a later level, they managed to get him back. And yeah, basically they got the writers from the show as well, so it's very true to the source material. It basically does just feel like you're playing an episode of the show, or a couple of episodes, I suppose, because of how not entirely connected the levels in this game are. So yeah, if you like the show, you'll probably like this game. I liked the show as a kid, which is why I picked the game up. And also, I played this game a lot as a kid. And then when I was rebuying my PS2 collection, I just kind of saw it in a CEX second-hand game shop for like literally 50p. It was like less than the price of a portion of chips. And if you're from London, whereas I am, you know that a portion of chips is pretty dang cheap. I'm just taking a moment to enjoy not having to strain my voice to be heard over all this background ambience.
My mother's eggs is the very best butter, and you are not it.
If you couldn't tell, number 2's basically main personality trait is that he likes puns and terrible jokes. That is his entire character. I should also point out, by the way, that our ship is a school bus with jet engines on it.
Okay.
It's called the Cool Bus because the names of things in this game and property and show and media IP in general are just fun like that. They have fun with this. So we're at max upgrades now, so as well as the double shot, we have 2 sets of rockets, one going directly in front of us and one going to the sides. The ones to the sides might not seem like they're doing much now, but they're going to be a big factor in maximizing our DPS on the boss. This is the last section of the level before the boss. Did I say that already? I feel like I probably did. This level all kind of blurs together after a while. I hope you understand. Okay, and with this final cloud transition, okay, so we're going into the boss here. And I'm going to align myself with the side of the beach here to be in the optimal position. Ow. I forgot there's a few more extra enemies that spawn. But okay, here we go. And now the boss spawns, and we have to shoot the engines. The ship itself is not vulnerable. And if I get the good cycle here, we will not get the tutorial prompt telling us to shoot the engines. And I think I've already messed it up. So yeah, basically, we're just staying in the right place to make sure that our shots track properly. And then that's one of the engines already down. And I don't think we got engineless. Yeah, we didn't get it. This is actually a kind of a slow pace. Normally I just miss it, but... Okay, yeah, we got it in the end. That's slower than I normally would have liked, but I'll take it. And now he can only be hurt by using the smart bomb, the chicken soup explosion. Because yes, if we're fighting a cold-themed villain, what better weapon than weaponized chicken soup? And now these giant projectiles are actually a worry, because if we get hit by them, then we instantly lose our shield. Like, our whole shield energy goes away. So of course we don't want that. Sometimes he braces the absorbent projectiles with these shield stripping projectiles. So that's kind of a worry. Movement is a big thing in this phase of the fight. Like you saw there, I kind of moved in a circle to make sure that I could absorb the optimum amount of projectiles. And then when I knew I was going to have a chicken soup ready, I moved forward so that I could absorb the projectiles as soon as possible. That time I didn't quite get it, because I genuinely didn't think I was going to be able to hit that. And now he fires these other projectiles that we have to shoot down, because those can't be absorbed either. They don't strip our shield, they just do damage. So yeah, the final phase of this fight is actually comparatively tense compared to the rest of the fight. But yeah, one more cycle and this guy should go down. And we've not taken any damage, so this has actually been a pretty good phase 2, despite how sloppy phase 1 was. But yeah, that's the fight down. And a 10:19 is a very good time there. Just gonna plug that into the time calculator. And now we have the first number 4 level, Operation Spank Happy. Now this is an entirely different arc and storyline, I suppose, where basically the treehouse got invaded by Count Spankulot, the Spank Happy vampire, who is a real character. I swear I'm not making this up. And all of the Sector V operatives got turned into vampires, except for number 4, because he happened to be on the toilet at that time. And this level has 2 of the hardest skips in the run, or the hardest tricks in the run, I suppose. I gotta stop playing with my hair, but really I've nothing else to do. So yeah, here we see 3 of our vampire V.I.D.E.O.G.A.M.E comrades, and we're only gonna be fighting vampire number 1. Sorry to spoil that, but we're gonna be skipping the other 3. But for now, we're fighting these security robots. We're just gonna punch them. Number 4 is another melee character, as well as number 5. So we're going to go over here, pick up the super energy. Oh, well, this guy did not aggro. Okay, that's interesting. That doesn't usually happen. And now we go over here. Once those enemies are down, we have to give the monitor a thwack to make this come down.
Only I could lower the plow on the front.
I've been tinkering around for ages with a way, because you can get up here early without fighting those enemies, but it messes up the spawns for the entire rest of the level and stops doors from opening when they should open, because the enemies required to defeat to make them open don't spawn. It's quite something. Number 4's melee attacks have a bit of an AoE to them, so we want to try and group these enemies up as much as possible. Pick up as much super energy as we can. Oh, it dropped my jump input, okay. So I wasn't able to... For number 4, jump attacks are actually make you move faster than side flips do. He's the only character in the game that has that property. Number 5, occasionally you'll see me doing jump attacks where it's not quite worth it to be able to go for side flips, because getting in position for side flips would just be a little too finicky with the space available in a particular area. If I'm not making any sense, I've been meaning to do a movement tutorial for this game for years now. So now we make it into number 4's room in the treehouse, which is where we're supposed to find the parts for the weapon upgrade for this level, but we're not going to do that. With the help of... Oh, I forgot to write down the acronym for this level. So, yeah, when I got a new phone, I forgot to write down in my notes the acronym for this level. So, let's just call this Vampire Skip. Let's just call it that. Basically, we're just going to make our way up to the top of the level and then do a similar thing that we did in Buggification, where we're just going to abuse a misalignment in a door that's supposed to unlock to skip a annoying segment. Go over here, kill this guy, because this requires a lock-on. And if this guy comes back over, if the trick takes a little too long, he's going to mess up our lock-on. Okay, so we align ourselves, like, perpendicular to the door. Get the angle, just nudge ourselves over a little bit. And now slide along the door and... Oh, okay, hang on. Just readjust the angle. And there we go, through the door. So we basically just skipped a weapon upgrade and 3 mini-bosses. And that's the easy trick, if you can believe that. That's the easy part of the level. The hard part, which I still can't do consistently, is the Vampire number 1 quick kill, which we're going to abuse super melee hitboxes to try and get multiple hits. If I can get a 2-cycle on this, then you can be impressed with me. I've immediately not gotten it. Oh, this isn't even going to be a 3-cycle. Oh dear. That's what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to hit him multiple times. Actually, this might be a 3-cycle. Okay, there we go. We got a 3-cycle at least. That's as quick as you can do it without the quick kill. So 4:34 is still a good time for that level. And I've just realized I've already messed up my time calculator, so I'm going to ignore the time calculator. I'll do that in post, and I'll just go by real time. I've made that decision now. Anyway, this is Operation Hamsterama, where basically, after that whole debacle, we have to restore power to the treehouse. But the treehouse is powered by a ton of hamsters and hamster wheels, and the only one who feels like gathering up that many cute fuzzy critters is number 3. But we're not going to gather them up immediately because we're going to do a skip. We are going to get under this pipe here, and if I can get this... Okay, no. This is tricky. And we got it, okay. And now we're in the void. We clipped out of the level. This is out of bounds. And we're going to clip to the last part of the level before the loading zone. We can't get into the loading zone and abuse and like just skip the whole part of the level, but we can get the weapon upgrade early, which makes the rest of the level so much faster and more consistent. Just going to keep gliding over. This takes a little bit of time, don't worry about it. I didn't get the jump out of the level, out of bounds initially. I only ran out of bounds, so I hope I have enough height. Okay, I've got more than enough height. And once we get back in bounds, we're going to take the fall damage because we are going to do a death warp back to the start of the level. Do some backflips, or rather do just the one backflip. Because number 3 has like a little sort of pirouette flourish on the end of all of her strafe jump animations. So anyway, okay, didn't want to get that ledge grab, but okay. So now we have the frappe, which is basically, it's a freeze gun. We weaponized an iced coffee machine. And now we're going to throw ourselves off this platform a whole bunch of times to kill ourselves with full damage. Oh, didn't quite make it onto that platform. Had to take another ledge grab. Ledge grabs eat up a bunch of time in this game, but they do add up. But in the moment, you can't really be too mad about it. 2 more jumps off here ought to do it. So yeah, we fell off there, we sprained our ankle, and now we respawn back at the start because we didn't hit a checkpoint. And now we go to the actual hamster collecting gimmick of the level. We're not going to be using the gun for this first area because the hamsters are all stationary. But for the next couple of areas onwards, they will run from you. So rather than try and like manipulate their AI or anything, we're just going to freeze them in place because it's easier. And we need to make our way down this part of the treehouse while collecting enough hamsters, pretty much. There is an optimal route for this, but I can never remember what it is. Before we get down to the very end, we want to have at least 10 or 11 hamsters. Because there's 3 right before the end, and then there's 2 more near the door. Okay, so we got 10, so we can pick up those 3. And now we get this hamster, and we're going to go over the door and get this hamster over here. I probably could stand to try and route this level a bit better, but once we get into the next part, it doesn't really matter. We're going to do some side flips down here, and now you'll see the raw power of the iced coffee machine. We're going to jump to make the gun respawn because it doesn't think we should have it. And they're going to try and run away, but instead of chasing them, we're just going to freeze them. Sorry. Throat is starting to hurt from having to shout over the background noise. I have a bottle of water right here, though. And you see here, the hamsters have all this space to run around, but we're not going to let them use it. Oh, see, and that's what I mean about the very generous enemy lock-ons, is I tried to go for a side flip there, but the game just decided that even though I was like 3 miles away, I had to lock onto a hamster. There was just no other way around it. Ow, okay. See, that time it gave me a lot more room before making me lock on. Now this is a pretty long corridor for side flips. Oh, by the way, the thing I mentioned about number 3 having like weird like ending lag animations on her side flips, that only applies when she doesn't have a gun. When she has a gun, she functions just like any other character. Now we got 2 hamsters here, which is actually like a good pattern. The hamster AI was very cooperative there. And this is the level we glitched our way out of bounds into before. And once we collect the hamsters from here, we'll be able to go through a door in the next part of the level. Because the door is inside this tree, the loading zone is rather. And despite being able to clip into the tree and touch where the loading zone usually is, there isn't the loading zone just does not activate until we until we get all the hamsters in this part of the level. Can I fire the gun, please? Thank you, game.
Keep it up, number 3. Just a few more hamsters and you'll have enough power to use the elevator.
There we go. Now, if I'm in the right part of the level, which I'm not, normally I'd just be able to drop down and go in the door, but I gotta go around to get back to where the door is. This part is kind of annoying because the hamsters have so much cover. But we still managed to get 10 of them. That actually went a lot smoother than that usually does in this room. Normally this room is quite the annoyance.
Come on already! I don't want to spend all day watching number 3 play some stupid hamster game. I just want the power back on so I can play some real games. Some video games!
She's right, this is a real game. I'm running it at a real speedrunning event. Will you get back here, you rodent? Even when you can stop them from moving, sometimes the hamsters move in uncooperative ways.
Just down this hallway. Get there and you can power up the treehouse.
We've only got 2 sections left before the end of the level. But this last section is a doozy, I promise you. Like seriously, if you like watching uncooperative hamsters, then oh boy, you're in for a treat. These pipes are really weird because sometimes you can walk through them and sometimes you can't. It's incredibly bizarre.
Okay, number 3, just round up those last few hamsters and we'll be back in business.
See this room? All this room for hamsters to run around in and avoid you? Yeah. And you gotta get 25 of the furry little bastards. Thankfully we had some cooperative hamsters just from the start in this room, so that's 4 right off the bat, which is pretty good. The hamsters have access to bounce pads here, which they've had before, but they use them a lot more and go in far more uncooperative directions. Oh, you... Oh, okay, apparently there was a hamster over there that the game made me lock onto. One trick we sort of utilize in here that we used very heavily in this level before we found the early freeze gun trick is that the hamster AI won't react to you as long as you're in the air. So if you can glide over to a hamster and just get the drop on them, then that's sort of an easy way to manipulate their AI. And depending on the patterns I get, I'll sort of be using it in this level. It depends on if I'm in the air and a hamster happens to be right below me. The tricks you do and don't do in this level are pretty much all predicated on Where, okay, see, like here, I'm gonna stay in the air so the hamsters don't respond to me immediately. And this has been a relatively cooperative final room, as far as this level usually goes. Oh, you! Let me freeze you. There we go. That's the level done. 10:32. I think that actually might be a PB for this level. I don't know why I was clapping myself. I was just going along with the moment. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, we've got the next number 1 level, Operation Spankerific, which, if you've watched the previous UKSM, you'll know that this used to be the worst level in the run. Because this level used to have a chance to softlock for no reason, but we have a way around that. Don't worry. I found the way around that literally like 3 weeks after the marathon run where I softlocked 3 times in a row. Life is cruel sometimes. But yeah, basically, this is one of 2 back garden levels, which are the 2 longest levels in the game. This and a number 3 level later in the run. Well, the longest normal levels in the run. Where basically, now that we're done fixing up the treehouse, we're going to take the fight directly to Count Spankulot. Where basically we have to fight his minions by guiding them into the light. And to guide them into the light, we have to activate these bug zappers.
Bug zappers to make them bright. Now, if I can just lure those hands of Jeffers into the light.
And will you get over here, please? Enemy aggro, please. Yeah, we can only hurt the enemies when they're inside the light, unless we use a charge shot. Which we're not going to do, because we want to save our charge shot. So no, stay in the light, There we go. I forgot that guy was there. But yeah, that was actually pretty cooperative of a first area. So now we're going to get that super energy, jump past these guys. Aside from that first room, killing the smaller enemies does not matter. We only have to worry about the big enemies, like you saw that guy over there. Basically, we have to take out one of them to be able to rescue one of the 8 kids in the area, and once we have all 8 kids, then we're able to move on to the next area of the level. But yeah, we're going to pick up at the weapon upgrades, just so that we don't have to do it later on and like make a second pass around. Make sure we've got full weapon energy. And now, because our current weapon, its charge shot gimmick is a ricocheting shot, we basically have to hope that we get good ricochet RNG to be able to take this guy out sooner. Not getting good RNG so far. Oh, this is the worst RNG you can get. Is he? Where is he? Get down here. Normally he stays up there. I don't know. But sometimes he just decides that he's not going to cooperate with you. It's quite sad, really. We could both be done with this sooner if you just cooperated with me. So anyway, that's 1 out of 8 kids. Ow. We're going to strafe around that light while maintaining a lock-on. Just because, like I say, it's all about knowing what you're locked onto and what angles you have to take going around them. Ow. This is the first real level where health is a bit, well, aside from the boss fight in the last level, this is the first level where health is a big issue. Because you can kind of just die. But anyway, now we have the Scamp, which is infinitely better than the previous gun because the charge shot will one-shot these bigger enemies. Like, see how complicated and like difficult and RNG reliant the previous mini boss was, and see what we just did to his friend there. That's the voice of Count Spankula. And we're gonna keep walking through that level transition because for some reason that isn't a loading screen. Someone almost just knocked over the, I don't know what happened there. Someone was going nuts with it. We're not gonna take out that guy because we only need to take out the big guys who are tormenting the children. If there's a big guy just hanging about, we don't gotta worry about him. And now I'm gonna kill these guys because that is the key to making the soft lock not happen. Because it's all to do with the amount of enemies that exist in the level. It's why the hypothetical skip I mentioned in the last number 4 level doesn't actually work because there's too many enemies loaded, which prevents enemies that are tied to level triggers from loading. And you know what? I'm gonna take out this guy as well just to be safe. So with those guys gone, the next few enemies should be guaranteed to spawn. Pick up some extra super energy. Ignore that guy. Pick up some more extra super energy. And if this soft locks, you'll watch my perception of reality break in real time. It didn't. Thank God! No soft lock, hell yeah. So now we just take out these guys. And we are actually worryingly low on health, but there's a health pickup right here. So we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. I hit the wrong bush there, so I spawned an enemy by mistake. Ow. Oh jeez, this guy's aggroing on me now. Oh dear. Get out of here. Be gone. Be gone, heathen. Stay away. Oh, no, don't jump into the tree. No, no, no. Ignore that guy. Take out this guy. I really thought he survived that for a second. I was about to be very confused. Get away from all of these enemies. Okay, we're into the loading zone for the next part of the level. Okay, we can relax for a bit. Oh Jesus. Hit this water. So yeah, I don't know if you want me to explain this next segment. I mean, I can do it when I get to the next segment, but I'm kind of just taking some downtime. More speedruns need downtime, just a bit in the level where you can just in the game where you can just chill. I like having that. So yeah, anyway, next in this segment we pretty much just have to take out some waves of enemies before we can get to the boss fight against Count Spankula. It doesn't really matter how fast we take them out because all the enemies spawn on their own timer. So even if we hypothetically killed every enemy instantly, we'd still have to wait for the remaining enemies to spawn. So all we can do is make sure that we're near the door that's going to open. And yeah, just kind of wait for these guys to run into the light and then shoot them. Not exactly rocket surgery. As rainbow monkeys drop in all over the place, but as I explained previously, we don't need to worry about them. So yeah, that's that door opened. And in this section, we do actually have to be conscious of timing because some of the bigger enemies are going to spawn, and the spawn timers of those enemies are actually relative to when the previous big enemy died. So if a big enemy spawns, we have to use a charge shot to kill it as soon as possible. Like right there, we're not even gonna give that guy a chance. Like, if a big enemy spawns, drop everything and go kill it. Thankfully, in this wave at least, they all spawn in the same place, which is more than I can say for the next area, which is one of the more complicated. And now we're going to wait a few seconds for the last guy to spawn. The last few guys to spawn, rather, I should say. There we go. Lined up with the door so we can get in there as soon as we can. Unless we do a side flip instead of a back flip. I am a little concerned about my super energy because of how many big dudes there are that spawn in this wave and how much super energy we need for the ideal strat against Count Spankulot, who can be one of the more frustrating bosses if he doesn't cooperate. Okay, the lights have gone off there, which is supposed to be an important mechanic for the Count Spankulot boss fight, but if we do the fight properly, then we won't have to worry about it. I think that should be the last of the big dudes that spawn. I'm pretty sure those enemies have an actual name, but I just call them the big dudes, because that's what they are. Okay, yeah, this is actually worryingly low super energy. Like I said, just gotta wait for the last few spawns because they are all on their own individual timers. How fast we kill the little enemies doesn't matter. Okay, now here's Count Spankulot. Who, if we do right and have enough energy, we should be able to get stuck in a permanent loop. That very nearly was a wasted shot. I'm glad it wasn't. So yeah, the way you're supposed to do this fight is to turn on some moving spotlights and then shoot him while he happens to be in the light. But we can use the charge shots to just get him in an infinite loop. We have to keep mindful of how far we are away from him. If we're in melee range, we're fine. If we're far away, we're fine. But if we're at mid-range, then he can do a jumping attack, which takes him out of the path of our shot. Like, see there, I had to move back before taking the shot, because otherwise he might have gone for that jumping attack. Okay, but that was actually a very cooperative Count Spankulot. I'm quite frankly very surprised. 1151 isn't bad, thank you all very much. 1151 is okay for that level. I think my best time is somewhere in the high 10s. But now we have a bit more of a breather because we have another number 2 level. It's probably the more active of the number 2 levels, but which also means it's the shortest. but it's still a good breather. So here comes the arc with the Mark Hamill boss that I mentioned previously. And this is the pirate Sticky Beard who roams the state, basically taking candy from children. And we have to steal back all of the candy. What? What? Mike, like, okay.
Did I just see one of your ships?
I don't know what you're telling me. Put it back? Okay, sorry. It's very hard to hear things. Okay, so anyway, the main gimmick of this level is that we have to repair the cool bus by picking up engine blocks from the downed bigger pirate ships. And we have to, so there's 8, as well as these small enemies, there's 8 big pirate ships that we have to take out. So managing our chicken soup, I know it's called something else by this point, but it's funnier to think that we're still fighting with weaponized chicken soup. So we have to keep an eye on making sure that the chicken soup is charged at all times. Because DPSing these guys, these big ships down, is very important. To do that as fast as possible. So this is why we're also going to take the time to build up another charge of the chicken soup before we move ahead into the next level transition. Thankfully, though, these enemies are somehow even more pathetic than in the previous stage. Positioning is also an important factor. Being on like the right side of the screen that the big ship spawns on, so that you can start doing damage to them as soon as possible. And I should not have used the chicken soup there, so I'm gonna have to take a bit more time to build one up. Even though I don't think this guy's gonna give me enough projectiles to be able to do it, especially when we miss one like that.
The only free revenge around here, Sticky Beard, is gonna be
I somehow found a way to lose time in an auto-scroller.
Knock it off.
Yes, you know what? Clap for that. Clap for that. That deserves it. And that was the worst place we could have dropped the chicken soup as well, because we needed to take out 2 enemies at once. Auto-scroller gaming. Oh. Why do I keep using... Oh, well, that time it worked because we managed to snag back an upgrade piece, so that time it actually was useful. I gotta stop self-questioning and also just be better at killing these enemies. Because the other thing is, you see these enemies bobbing up and down, they can dodge your shots that way. They put Y-axis movement in a shmup. I want to meet the brain genius who came up with that one, and I want to see his tax returns. Yeah, there is actually a lot going on in this level, especially with how much of a cock up I'm making of it. Because you've got to manage your health, you've got to manage your shields, you've got to manage the chicken soup, you've got to manage your DPS, make sure you're taking out enough enemies to be able to get the weapon upgrades.
Sale? Discount? Would you please stop that?
It's quite tricky, really. It's quite tricky to be able to do optimally, I should say. If you're just playing this game casually, it's pretty easy. Now, if I can time this right so that a wave of rockets will hit as soon as it... There we... Well, it didn't matter anyway because we picked up the side rockets, which stopped the rocket, which stopped us from having rockets that go towards the mini-boss. It's needlessly complicated, this level, compared to the last one. The last one was just you hold square. Anyway, we have all 5 weapon upgrades, which means we now have homing rockets, which you don't have for very long in this stage, but they own everything. And they also mean we can take out that mini-boss before it even gets in line to be taken out by our regular shots. Through use of homing rockets and the chicken suit. And I'm gonna have to ease off the trigger finger there, because we're killing all of the enemies before they can fire projectiles for us to absorb for the chicken suit. Oh, I'm sorry, my face is itchy today. Allergies, you know how it is. Allergies, and also I'm wearing makeup for the first time in ages.
Guess I just don't take candy from strangers.
Okay, so that's that level. What was the time on that? 6:16. Okay, so that's 13 seconds off an optimal time, which is annoying. But anyway, if you thought platforming shmup third-person shooter thing was already enough of a horrible mishmash of genres, now there's a stealth level. Yeah. So now number 5 goes on the Sticky Beard's pirate ship, and we have to sneak our way through it and then fight the pirate, basically. Well, we fight many pirates, but we have to fight the big pirate, voiced by Mark Hamill, who Sorry, I know I'm going on that, I like Mark Hamill. I think he's a great voice actor, and I'm quite frankly amazed that they managed to get him back for this pokey tie-in video game of all things. I mean, I guess when you're a voice actor, you kind of have to do, like, everything that comes your way to be able to keep the lights on. So yeah, if you hit an enemy in the back while they don't know you're there, then it's a one-hit kill. But if they do know... Oh, okay, we didn't hit that guy with the charge attack, apparently. So we're just going to take him out regularly. Saves us a little bit of energy that way.
Number 5 will never know.
So we're going to just try and breeze through here, jump up here, crack this guy in the back of the head. Then these guys are both going to notice us. I'm going to hide behind here so they kind of... What? Excuse me! Excuse me! That is not remotely how that usually goes, but I'll take it. Normally what you want to do is make those guys, like, converge on each other so that you can kill both of them with charge attacks. Hide back here. Crack this guy in his elbow to instantly murder him. This guy was on a bad cycle, so he saw us. And we died. Yeah, they have guns, by the way. Sure, clap for that. Why not? And the soup. Okay, well, now we're in a bad position because we don't have nearly as much super energy as we used to. And also means this guy is on a different cycle. This guy aggroed as well? And that guy de-aggroed? I'm so confused. That was 2 things in a row that never happen. Oh, this game. It's not even being uncooperative, it's just messing with me. I'm gonna take that backup energy, just to be safe, because we have none. because you lose all of your super energy on death. That's kind of the thing. That's the rub. At least these moving platforms are on a good cycle now. I have no idea how the timer for those works. I think it's a global timer, but I also have no idea how that interacts with, you know, you dying and having to reset. If you're really lucky, you can get an early stealth kill on that guy. Come on! Game! I don't even have anything to say at this point. This game's running me ragged. Thankfully, now we just have a straightforward bunch of stealth kills. Take those guys out both at the same time. Get up here, back up energy. Sink the hole. We'd actually missed the hole, but it counted us as being in the hole anyway. I'm gonna real quick open my notes back up, because there's an acronym that I want to bring up in a hot minute. So these dudes are firing on our ship, so we have to kill them. Thankfully, they're so attentive that they will never aggro, and we can just destroy them. If you're really lucky, you can stun lock the enemies sometimes like that, but sometimes they will just shoot you. And we want to keep our energy up because of a strat in the next boss fight. My commentary is coming in short bursts because I'm just focusing on making sure the game works at this point. Oh, did I miss a guy? I missed a guy! That's never... Oh... I was waiting for the level to transition, but I missed a guy. So anyway, normally the next boss is pretty heavily RNG based, but thankfully we can minimize that with Kids Next Door Operation 4 Cycle. Foot ouching undoes reset, conferring you crazy fast level ending. I swear the acronyms are usually that bad in the show as well. Basically, if you use a specific melee attack and use the super attack for melee attacks with triangle instead of square, then sometimes the boss just forgets to reset for a cycle. And that means we can do the boss in a minimum of 4 cycles instead of a minimum of 5. I don't know why it works like that either, but it works like that. Oh, come on. Sometimes knowing which direction to hold between the camera angle and the direction the game thinks you're actually moving in is difficult.
Well, isn't a Jolly Roger the tastiest and rarest candy in all of North America?
I got stuck on the thing.
They have good tasting candy after all.
So yeah, here's the boss fight. Basically, we have to crack open all of these chests until we find a super rare and delicious piece of candy. And what? Oh no! Come on! No! I almost got Lycerol. I almost got the best RNG you can possibly get, which saves like a minute. But then I ruined it by being in the wrong place. I could have saved like a minute. Oh no!
You're making a big mistake coming here.
I am genuinely heartbroken. At least I got 4 cycle. At least I did something right. I actually got a trick. You can clap for that. Please. Thank you. Thank you for your crucial support in this trying time. Lord knows I need it.
Number 5 bringing out the big guns, baby.
This run is somehow just as much of a mess as last year. I didn't think that was possible. At least the RNG, aside from squandering the literal best RNG you can possibly get, has been good. 804, that's good.
All munching on that
Actually, no, that isn't good. Sub 7 is good. 8 is like good if you died. Whatever. Ugh. Basically, if you get the super rare candy like immediately, then Sticky Beard will never reset and you can just pummel him like into death. Which is the only way you can get a 1 cycle in that fight. Anyway, moving on. Now, I'm sorry, I need to get my bearings. In this level, you gotta collect fireflies, because an evil dentist is trying to mash up fireflies to make them into bioluminescent toothpaste. So number 3 has to save the fireflies. You're gonna just have to run with the concept of, okay, we're collecting fireflies, and not make me have to explain any more of the level, because I gotta catch my breath after all the screaming I just did, and also, I am an emotional wreck right now. Ugh. Can I get this jump at least? This jump is hard to make because of depth perception, but I made it. That's actually quite tricky. I'm glad I got that. Anyway, get the fireflies, take them over to the door. You can only carry 4 fireflies. You can only carry 4 fireflies at a time. And you got to avoid the bug zappers, otherwise the fireflies will go towards them and instantly die. And then you have to pick them up again. This is basically the same, like, I guess, tile set as the previous Backguard level, the vampire level, except with, it's slightly maneuvered about in terms of order. Ow, that was a bonk. Dump you at the door. The commentary's gonna get kind of sporadic, because, like, you know how the game works by this point, I think. I think that's a reasonable enough assertion. Please don't shoot me. I'm under enough emotional stress as is. I don't need to be being shot at. And yet you shoot at me anyway. And yet you shoot at me once more. Why do you do this to me? Now we have a gun. That's gonna make things go a lot smoother. Because now we can do proper strafe jumps and we can take out enemies. And we've got to take out some enemies more importantly than others, because they have bright shiny teeth, which is so bright it will zap our fireflies to death. You're just going to have to accept this and move on. Here's the bitch over here. There we go. No, not the other one. No. Ow. The ones that shoot you, they come back to life after a certain amount of time, but the ones that kill your fireflies don't. Thank God for that. Wait! No! Come on! Which one died? One back over here. Okay. that little telltale, like, tiny controller vibration that just tells you you messed up your movement.
Hello, pretty firefly. I'm here to rescue you.
I'm sorry, again, I know I just said this, but I need to reiterate. I am sorry that I'm going light on the commentary right now, but given the circumstances and the shit I've had to put up with, can you really blame me for just wanting to take some downtime? No, lock onto the enemy, please! When the lock-ons don't want to cooperate, they really do not want to cooperate. Get the fireflies, avoid the enemies, have my thumb slip off the stick, and lose movement because of it. Jump this gap. Don't take that jump pad because all it leads up to is charge shot energy, and charge shots with this gun are useless because you don't really have to take... Don't lock onto those enemies. Please, game. This is probably the slowest, one of the slowest levels in the run. Not just in that it takes a while, but that there's barely anything to talk about once you explain the initial concept of the level. Over the years, I've come to the realization that maybe this isn't the best speed game in the world. But you know what? It's mine. I routed this game. I made it what it is. Maybe nobody else cares, but I care. And at the end of the day, what more else do you need? I probably sounded so pleasant at the start of this run, and now it's all gone. It's nothing but bitterness and suffering. That's not even me being melodramatic about it. I'm just bitter right now. Come on, get the flips, get the jumps. That was actually rather clean movement for that segment. I'm satisfied with that. Take out this guy, make sure that his shiny teeth can't... What? Did he just... I saw him do the attack, and I thought he just decided to murder some fireflies for no reason. But no, there aren't any there. You'd think I'd know that, having played this game as many times as I have, being the world record speedrun holder of it, but no. I'm just forgetting things because I'm in a state of bad run-induced delirium. It doesn't help that I'm very hungry. I didn't get to eat breakfast today. Because the place I went to took 15 minutes to not serve me eggs, and then I had to come back to make sure that we weren't behind so that I could do my run. I want my eggs, damn it. Give me my eggs. Please, it's all I'm asking. Is some nice breakfast, a nice toasty egg breakfast. Let me get into this loading zone. I'm lightheaded. Anyway, this is the last batch of fireflies we have to do. We got to get 32 fireflies. We can take 8 at a time in this area.
Okay, little firefly.
Number 3 is going to explain it, but I explain it quicker.
Simply follow me 8 at a time. That's right, twice as many as before. Wow, I didn't know you guys could do math.
Just gimme the fireflies. Let me get out of this level.
I want to ring the bell. Ring-a-ling, ring-a-ling.
At least the enemy is being cooperative and not firing guns at us. Gonna take a little extra drop there, because if you just get optimal height from, like maximum height from the bounce pad and then glide over, you will overshoot a firefly, because life is a cruel irony. A cruel joke, I suppose.
Uh-oh, little fireflies. I'll never get past those gears without getting smart.
Okay, we have 8 of them.
You now. Sorry.
Pardon me.
Firefly friend.
This is another area where direction I'm holding and direction the camera angle thinks I'm holding are not exactly the same. I missed a firefly. I was trying to be swanky by dropping down a bunch and not having to glide, but I missed a firefly. I ought to be able to, yeah, I can just glide back to this platform. Okay, so it's not as disastrous as it could have been.
You're too kind. I couldn't have done it without you, cute little floaty fireflies. That's very nice.
Last batch over here. I'm gonna be swanky here. Just drop down, get them all in a line. That's one of the only cool looking things I have done in the last, I don't even know how long this run's been going for. And that's the end of the level, okay. Thank you. Thank you, one person in the crowd who has my back. You just gotta go with it sometimes. So the fireflies let out the light of celebration or some shit, I don't know. 10:38. I can't remember. I gotta remember what my PBs are for some of these levels. Cause like sometimes I'll think a time is good and then go, wait, was my old time like a minute faster than that? Because like I'll see the 38 and think, oh, that's good, my PB's like a 50, is a 50 something. But then I'll go, wait, was that a 10:58 or a 9:58? I don't know. Anyway, here's the final number 1 level of the run, because we are actually getting near to the end of the game. Slowly but surely. And number 1 tracks Nightbrace down to his lair, the Cavity Cave. And I'll explain what we're gonna do a little bit nearer the time. First things to do is we're going to turn around for a cheeky little weapon part. They hide that one from you.
Aha! This must be Nightbrace's main computer from here. He can control the spread of bugs by infinity throughout the entire world.
And basically here we have to input passwords into the main computer to open that door. But actually we're going to use Kids Next Door Operation Computer. Cave obstruction mandating passwords utterly tarnished, enabling rapidness. So we take out these enemies. and it'll tell us we can't do it because there's passwords, and then it'll show us, aha, maybe if we move the platforms around, we can go to all of these 3 jumping puzzles.
This other control panel does something.
But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the thing I just gave you the acronym for. So we're going to pick up this weapon part, and we're basically going to do the same thing that we did for Disco in Buggification, where some surfaces, very few but some, have this property where you can just zip along them if you go at them at the right angle, which lets you go through walls. And there we go, got that second try. Thank you, one person who's still around. Oh, we got some more. Thank you, thank you. Lord knows I need the support.
A river of pure fluoride. One wrong step and my entire town...
Sir, please, that's my emotional support audience. So now we're going to take out those pillars to make the platforms. If that had hit me a second later and I'd gone basically in the lava, it's fluoride, but it acts like lava. And if I'd have died there, I would have been so upset. Grab on. That's a cleanness of movement and execution I don't normally get in this stage. Normally by the time I get to this stage in the run, I'm in a position to choke. But I didn't, so that's good. And I'm going to get this weapon piece from over there because I felt like it. Oh, actually, also because I have to. For some reason I thought that was the last one, but no. The grappling hooks make a glorious return. After only being used like once in Spankerific. But there they are.
Bug right to pay. Who cares if it takes that? It's for kids.
That's the villain Nightbrace, who's played by Tom Kenny.
Blasts aloft juicy overfilled orange cartons.
There's a lot of voice actors in this game, a lot of notable ones. For instance, you might have already guessed, but number 1 is voiced by Benjamin Diskin, who you may recognize using the exact same accent for number 1 as the voice of Joseph Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Seriously, watch an
electromagnetic field.
Like, hang on.
I need to short circuit it, but how?
I'm just going to stop and let some of his dialogue play so you can hear it properly, now that I've said that.
Aha! Nightbrace must use this control panel to command his Dentadrem. If I can gain control of the Drem, I bet I can guide it to short out that circuit.
Okay, so yeah, we've heard the dialogue, now it's time to play Pac-Man. I've gone the wrong way. I don't remember how to do this now. Oh no, okay, on the fly thinking. I completely forgot how you do this part. I practiced the other 2 hard bits of this level, I forgot to practice this bit, oh no. Okay. We made it in the end. But don't worry, we have to do that 4 more times.
Just as I suspected.
If you think this looks painful, you're not the one playing the game, Sonny Jim.
Should be enough to get it over.
There we go, that's what we were meant to do. We go that way to trick one of the enemies into thinking we're going that way, and then we give him the old Matador. We give him the old Matador Twisteroony. Okay, I'm back in the groove of the level now. I know what I'm doing. That doesn't mean things won't go wrong. It just means I know what I'm doing.
New control in Nightbrace's Dentadrem could be so much fun. It's like racing a remote-controlled car.
Whoa, that was very nearly death. the Matador doesn't fully work because the enemy that we trick will get about halfway down that path and then go like, wait a minute, and then turn back. But we've already got enough time to give her the slip. This is actually a pretty dangerous area. The jumps that we have to make are kind of ridiculous and precise. Okay, we haven't died so far. If you get hit by any of those projectiles, all your forward momentum is... Oh, by the way, this is a gun that fires orange juice. And we're going to have a loading screen here, and then we have the boss fight with Night Brace, which... If I can get fast Night Brace in a marathon, I'll be bloody surprised, because it's incredibly precise. But we have to wait and see for that, because like I say, PS2 load times. This area looks more like the entrance to like a Dark Souls boss. I'm gonna hear like the music swell and a health bar's gonna come up like Night Brace, the hygienic stalwart, or some nonsense. Anyway, basically the crux of this fight is that Night Brace can only be heard from the back. And we're going to try and skip a cycle by hitting him from the back early when he does a specific attack. But the attack involves him spinning around, which means his hitbox acts weird. Okay, and...
My shots are useless, and I'm getting the cavities filled out of me.
This isn't it, but okay. 1, 2, okay. Jump. 1, 2... And if I hit him 8 times, then okay, 2. I don't think we're gonna get it. 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we didn't get it. We were off by like 1. So that means he's gonna do another like attack where he gets his drill stuck in the ground. And we're gonna hit him once, and immediately he's gonna reset. If we'd have hit him 8 times, we could have skipped that attack. 2. Like, I'm hitting him in the back and his hitbox just isn't there. It's incredibly bizarre. But we got him in the end. That was still an okay Night Brace, all things considered. That's actually a really good time. 909 is really, really good. Like I say, don't remember my PB times, because I just have them in a Word document at home. But I'm glad that I got that time even without fast Night Brace. And now we have Operation Overflow, which is the final regular level of the game. The Toiletnator makes his triumphant return. He's the boss we fought in the tutorial. And he's basically clogged up and toiletified the whole treehouse. And number 4 has to fight his way through him. Being able to explain the basic premise of the level in less time than it takes the level to load makes the game kind of awkward.
What?
So yeah, here are your enemies. We're gonna punch them. These are some of the weaker enemies in the game. They only take like, I think, I don't know how many hits that was.
Oh, come on! What are they?
Okay, 3 hits is all it takes.
Gummy toilet paper mummies throwing rolls of toilet paper? Don't you
Now
say
there's
you
these
can handle
projectile
that?
enemies which are incredibly annoying because they can and will stun lock you out of being able to pick up that
Climb on
box.
top of a box or something, and I can find a way to get through that hole.
Sometimes you will have to clear out the enemies so that you have a clear path to be able to throw these boxes to get through. Because if you get hit, you will drop the box. You know what, I'm gonna take these guys out just so that, actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna take this guy out, but the other, well, they won't cooperate. Every time I think, okay, I'm gonna take these guys out, they decide that no, they're gonna move away and make it not worth my time.
Treehouse is overflowing with stupid gummy mummies.
These have actually been pretty cooperative, all things considered. Normally, the projectile enemies give you a hell of a time. Anyway, now here comes the worst enemy I've ever seen in a video game. And I don't mean that in terms of annoyingness, I mean in terms of quality. Here are the shite homunculi, which are real enemies in this real video game. And we have to destroy the toilets to stop them from spawning. And instead of using the weapon upgrade, which is what the game wants us to do, we're going to apply a similar double hit mechanic that we used in the Vampire No. 1 boss fight way back in like an hour ago. Ow. You want to try and hit the shit men and the toilets at the same time, but sometimes you can't quite manage it. Alright, so that guy goes down, which means the door finally opens. This is actually one of the harder rooms in the run, because this jump coming up is like slightly too close to make if you just hold the stick down. And for someone like me, who's blind in one eye and basically depth perception doesn't exist, it's a difficult jump to make under those circumstances. Anyway, through we go. We're gonna have to do some more toilet double hits, but thankfully there's no more shite homunculus people to make us question what the people who made this game were doing. Now this door opens. And we have to be oddly particular about our path through this next room, because otherwise this door just won't open. But we managed to get it to open.
Look at what you've done to my room!
And now we don't have a boss fight against the Toilinator, we have a race against him. We have to reach the bronze toilet at the top of number 4's room. Because if he flushes it, then the whole treehouse will become clogged and flooded and claggy and awful, so we've got to beat him to it. Thankfully, it's really easy because the Toilinator is just kind of a pathetic villain. So we're gonna go here, take this jump pad, take this jump pad, clip through those ropes, get up here, take this jump pad, and we went the slow way because I wasn't thinking about it. But either way, it doesn't matter all that much. It loses only like a couple seconds. And that's the boss fight already done. What was, I think, was that a 5:34? That was amazing. Holy crap. Anyway, that was a pretty quick level. But now we have the slowest level in the game. Operation Moon Trip, which is, and I'm not making this up, a 16-minute auto-scroller. I know, that's horrifying. After this is the final boss, so by this point, you more or less know if you're gonna PB or not, but I don't know what the time of my run is. I've not been keeping track of the in-game timers, and I can't see a real timer, so that makes this all the more fun. Basically, we're going to the Kids Next Door base on the moon to try and deliver the adults that we have to a secret, like, moon-based penal colony for adults. But in a plot that's been happening more or less off-screen, because we skipped all the cutscenes, the main villains of the show, the delightful children from down the lane and Father, have been collecting DNA from the villains to produce an amalgamation of all of them, and that's going to be the final boss. So now we're just kind of fighting their robots for a little bit. In fact, I'm even, hang on, you know what, no, I'm not going to do that, because it takes too much focus off the game and I don't want to lose that much health. Because this is a level where you do actually kind of have to manage your health. This is probably the most difficult shmup level casually. And it's still pretty difficult doing it in the speedrun, but I wouldn't say it's quite as hard to do optimally as Ship Shape. Or what, no, Tarpoon, that's the name of the pirate shmup level. So yeah, this is just it. If I was streaming this run on my own channel, or if I had someone with me, I'd just be like having a conversation. But I'm right by my stony lonesome. So yeah, just downtime, I suppose. Okay, unlike like every other shmup level, there is actual optimization here, where basically, if we, instead of just being given like a sheet of clouds to act as a level transition, we do that like FTL light speed warp, which we have to be in the center of the screen to do. So if we're as close to the back and center of the screen as possible when that transition happens, then we save a few seconds. Thankfully, the weapons in this stage make it a lot more fun and make it feel a lot less tedious, because you get a lot more powerful in this stage than you do in like any other shmup stage, and the game actually gives you enemies to put that firepower to good use. So yeah, we're near the end of the game. I've explained pretty much everything about the game. I can't read chat. I don't know the time. I really don't know what to make of my current situation. And at least for like the first few stages of this level, you kind of just hold down square. Oh, actually, that's something important, is, yes. Don't tell me. Don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me. I didn't see what you said. They were trying to show me the time, but I don't want spoilers. Ah, I did the... Oh, no, did it hit the second guy there? I'm not entirely sure. Okay, by getting the fast kill on that guy, we sacrifice a little bit of time loss from not being in the center there, but it's alright.
Stay sharp, number 2. There's no telling what those delightful dopes are up to.
Oh, this enemy can get out of here. Oh, I never finished the tangent I was on because the staff tried to tell me my time. Basically, if you just hold down square in these shmup levels, then after a while, like actually once these guys are off screen, I'm gonna try just holding down square. Like I'm gonna hold down square, still holding it. After a while, you just stop firing, and I am actually really low on health, so I'm worried. There's a weapon upgrade part. Ah, we died. Thankfully, we were right near the start of that phase, so we didn't lose that much time, and we keep the upgrade, and it's homing, so we're able to get through this part a bit faster than we did last time. So doing this again isn't nearly going to be as dangerous as it was the previous time. We're still on the same timers, but we don't have to worry about dying. Ow. But yeah, these laser enemies cannot be guarded against. So you actually have to dodge. And if you saw before we died, sometimes there can be 2 of them on screen at once, which makes for some incredibly precise dodging. So yeah, again, I've milked the conversation, even the topics of conversation, even drier than they previously were. I didn't have anything to say before, I found some things to say, and now I've got nothing to say again. Oh, by the way, whose idea was it to have enemies spawn behind you in a shmup? Whose idea was that? Like, as a rule of thumb, I generally don't like it when speedrunners are like, wow, this game's so great, come on game designers, get with it. But like, really, what were they thinking? I'm genuinely not sure. Anyway, we're coming up to the end of the 3rd phase out of 5, so we're about 2/3 of the way through the level at this point. We're gonna have to damage boost.
What's that blinking?
Don't touch that. It's a button. You stay away from buttons.
Good advice from number 2, considering that number 4 has about 3 brain cells. That's basically his character. He has half a brain cell. Sorry, just kind of like chewing my tongue. Just a nervous habit. Or well, maybe not nervous, but just trying to keep myself occupied, I suppose. I don't know. You've been with me screaming for 2 hours. I don't need to justify myself to you people anymore. What am I doing? We have a quad shot, by the way. We're starting to like really put in huge girl damage. You know what I mean? We can actually take out these enemies before the next one spawns now. How wild is that? I'm not used to doing speedruns on camera, I'm very sorry. I know this must be horribly awkward to watch. And I'm also in kind of like try-hard mode, because I really need to focus to do this game properly at this point, and still get a decent time. Take out the... Oh, okay, that's the end of that. I had a feeling that was the end of that. Okay, so this will be the last segment before the boss.
Somebody wake number 5 when we get to the room.
And I'm going to be using chicken soup a bit more liberally than I usually do in these stages. Because they really throw the whole gauntlet at you in the first part of this phase. This phase kind of peters out instead of building to like a grand climax or anything. You see here, look at all this stuff that's on the screen right now. This is ridiculous. Thankfully we have quad shots and 2 homing rockets to deal with it. I think that should be the worst of it over and done with. Okay, and with this guy going down, we come into the final media segment, which means after this there'll be a few more enemies, and then the boss fight against the delightful children from down the lane, which by some cruel irony, after a 16-minute stage, or however long it's been, is the only boss in a shmup level with a skip in it. Because the Lord works in mysterious ways. We're gonna get to that at the end of after we've made this level transition. We don't have to damage boost for it, thank God, because we want as much health as possible. No pressure, no pressure.
It's a trap!
What? What are you talking about, number 3?
Just gotta wait for these last few straddlers to come through.
Hello? I'm trying to fly here.
Like 1 or 2 more, I think. I can't quite remember. And here we go. Here's the boss fight. Use the chicken soup immediately so that we can skip a cycle.
Something like that.
Yeah,
And I didn't quite get optimum DPS because I forgot to repress the square button. You want to get yourself into a rhythm of like every 2 rocket fires you want to repress the square button. And now we have to take out these lasers. Basically the boss will not become vulnerable again until you take out 4 times the amount of lasers that there are. So there's 2 lasers on the outside here. So once we destroy the 8th laser, this is the 6th, I think. Once we take out the 8th one, the boss will become vulnerable again. Okay, no, that was the 8th.
How do you plan on keeping this like your
There we go.
Mega Man?
no problem.
Actually, I think the gamma ray is our only hope.
Stay on top.
Oh, this is bad RNG. Normally, instead of 255, you get 445 in terms of like laser configurations. 5 is bad because normally this is the last cycle, but instead we're going to be getting 2 of them. And 5 is bad because it requires 5 times the amount of lasers instead of 4 times the amount. And also because we might die because there's more lasers going about. So you might have to take this a little bit slower. Thankfully the lasers do drop health. So I'm going to stay over here and kind of let the homing rockets take over DPS duties for a little bit. And hope we get some health drops. Normally I just accept the fact that we have to damage boost through the lasers, but we can't really afford to in our current state of health. Jesus, the suddenness of the noise, it still makes me jump even when I know it's coming. Oh, this game sometimes. So yeah, not the best Delightful Children fight in the world, but really, I think at this point it's on brand for this run. And again, I'm in like try-hard mode, because I really don't want to die or lose this run at the last minute. You can't shield through the lasers, you have to take the damage there. Okay, this should be the end of the boss fight. There we go. What was the time on that? 17. Oh yeah, Jesus, 17. That was really bad. That was like a minute lost. God. And now we're going into the final boss fight, Lunar Rumble, against the Amalgamation. Which, again, introduces a new gameplay style, because now we play as that mech in the image there. Pardon me. Which controls entirely differently. But thankfully, this is a relatively short stage to cap off a needlessly long game. But I mean, of all the ways to end a game, giant mecha battle on the moon is pretty high up in terms of good final bosses, I would say. Or at least cool final bosses. Your super energy refills over time in this fight. So pretty much we want to be using it like off cooldown. Ow, that's an attack we don't want to see, that Night Brace like fluoride ray, because it's incredibly hard to dodge. It's like perfect hit scan. You gotta dodge at like the last possible second. In an ideal world, you get lucky and have a super thing ready, like when the boss uses it, so that you can just iframe through it. But sometimes that just doesn't happen. I-frame through that just to save effort. This is really a good spot to be in because it's easier to like slightly manipulate the boss's RNG, the boss's AI. We were a bit off on the timing there, and sometimes when you get hit, your lock-on goes away, and you end up accidentally locking on to these tiny little enemies from the previous level that do nothing. They do like no damage, but the game decides you have to lock onto them. It's incredibly frustrating when it happens. And we were gonna I-frame through that dangerous attack, but he missed anyway. And now we have to do a melee fight with the boss, which when I was a kid was the most difficult part. But now it turns out you can stun lock the boss. You just do this for the rest of the game. So anyone over there, time is going to be coming up at the end of this boss fight. We're just going to do this for like another minute or two. Occasionally you can get an extra free hit in there if the boss isn't done turning around. But it's incredibly dangerous and can lead to you getting hit, and the stumble animation you do will oftentimes lose more time than you gained by getting the extra hits. Like that, see there, I got hit and I got like locked into a stumbling animation. But that's what it looks like when you do get the extra hit.
Don't look how it is, actual Steb, but your amalgam of what it is about to become just another creature on the move.
When I was a kid, I didn't know you could do this, and so this boss fight was always extremely difficult, because it's pretty much just about trading hits in melee range with a boss who still has ranged attacks, so even when you go to get health, you can still take damage. By the way, literally the only reason we have to do a melee fight is because we ran out of bullets. This might be time. Okay, not quite yet. But any minute now. No. Okay, one more hit. Time. Oh. 407 boss fight is very good. Oh, I'm lightheaded.
Thank you very much. That was codename Kids Next Door. We're going to take a slight intermission now, and we'll be setting up for Super Metro.